on the YouTube, and now we are officially live. Now let me go grab that real quick, and I'll put it out for people that want to watch. Share, copy link, go on the Facebook, and get off of that one, get on this one, go all the way down. All the way. Oh, there we go. Do. Hopefully some people come in. All right, so we're going to get on to Anchor here, but before we do, if anybody has anything they want to talk about in either stream, let me get back into Twitch here real quick. Back in Twitch. Okay, cool. Let me get on the YouTube side of things here. If you guys have anything you want to drop in the comments, feel free to do so as we get ready for the 21st episode here at the Crew Chiefs Corner podcast on Anchor, but it gets distributed out everywhere. Now, if you guys don't know, it is literally pretty much on everything. I'll tell you all the platforms we're on right now. So we are on Apple, Google, Spotify, Breaker, Castbox, Overcast, Pocket Cast, Radio Public, and of course Spotify. And then I am also on iHeartRadio, TuneIn, and I think that's all the major ones that we're on. I think there might be one or two more that I tried doing, but I didn't really go through with that yet. But I think we're doing pretty good. We're at we have a few hundred listens between the now 20, soon to be 21 episodes as we start recording here in a minute. So not bad. So tell your friends about it. And hopefully we'll continue to grow the folks that are listening to the Crew Chiefs Corner podcast. Like I said, it's available pretty much everywhere you can hear a podcast. I've gone through great lengths to try to get us on as many as of the platforms, just so it's a little bit easier to get. So we just crossed 360 for listens. You know, it's not bad. Not bad considering this is the first year we've done the podcast on Anchor. And when we were on SoundCloud, I didn't really get any listens. So 360 is a good number to start out with, and we'll build it from there. And then obviously we're doing the Twitch and the YouTube streaming, which probably adds to it as well. And all good. So we'll start our new episode. And give me a minute because I got to go and grab stuff. I got the outro. That's great. I need the intro. Show title. There. That. I'll put the title before the outro. That. All right, so we're going to record our intro here in a second. Make sure I select the right thing there. And we're going to, all right, so we're going to start the episode right now. All right, what's up, everybody? This is Bobby here at the Coochie's Corner podcast, coming to you with our Kentucky race recap. In this episode, we'll talk about the 4 races that we had in Kentucky. We had the doubleheader for the Xfinity cars. So Austin Cindric picks up his first 2 career wins on an oval. So we'll break that down for you. Sheldon Creed picked up his first career NASCAR Gander RV and Outdoor Truck Series win. And then on Sunday, we had Cole Custer picking up his first career NASCAR Cup Series victory at the Kentucky Speedway in a wild finish. We'll talk about the PJ1 application and how that's kind of impacted our races so far this season. And should we see this continue? We will also break down all the news that you guys want to talk about as far as the Tony Stewart series. That kind of was a little bombshell that was dropped on us this morning. And we'll direct you guys over to our sister page, which is the Green Flag Racing Network, which will cover the Tony Stewart series as it gets up and running. And we'll go over the press release that I just got about an hour or so ago. Tony's actually in the middle of a press conference right now. They're doing a Zoom call on that. So whatever comes out of that, we'll get access to that as well. So we'll bring that to you as it happens. And we'll get started here on a Monday morning. This is the Coochie's Corner podcast, hosted by Bobby Bailey. All right, so that is recorded, and this will be July 13th. Show open. Save. I'll get put in. I don't know why Anchor's been having some interesting things since I last used it. You know, the last week or so, like since the last recording, it doesn't save names anymore. Very, very bizarre. Very bizarre. Can't complain about it. All right, so nobody has anything. Let me get back into the media site here, just because I know I'm going to want to get on that. Very good, very good. Statistics. And we will get the... Did they post anything for Texas yet? There's entry list up, so obviously we're going to Texas. I don't know. I don't know where they got this stuff from. What? Okay. That's different. I'm gonna have to take a picture of this. This is bizarre. All right. So this is something I'm going to post on the page. Actually, I'm going to post this in a group because I know a certain person will love this. Run. Very bizarre. Very bizarre. We'll talk about that in the podcast. let me first get back to where we were, because that was an unexpected thing. I did not expect to see that on that entry list, so that's kind of cool. See if there's anything crazy on the Texas entry list. No, Kyle Busch is going to be in the race, so there's a surprise. Nothing else really surprising on the Xfinity thing, on the Xfinity side. Very, very normal. Yep. Very normal. Very weird. All right, well, these things do happen. All right, let's go to back to stats. I want to look at Kentucky. This is just going to be Xfinity, though. Let's talk about Kentucky 2, as they call it, Kentucky 2. Very bizarre. We're going to have to figure out what that Vic Keller thing is. Very bizarre. I wonder if anyone knows who Vic Keller even is. All right, cool. So we'll have it all there. Good. All right, let's start. All right, everybody. Bobby Bailey back here on the Crew Cheese Corner podcast, coming to you live. Now, did you know you can actually watch the Crew Cheese Corner podcast get recorded live? You check us out on Twitch. It's twitch.tv/Giants, like the football team, 02122. You can catch all of our recordings live on there. You can also check us out on YouTube. You can search Crew Cheese Corner, and you'll find our channel, and you'll find all of our podcasts that we have recorded live on there. So hopefully you guys are all being nice and safe and enjoying the beautiful weather out there. It's it was kind of nice yesterday, and it looks like another nice day here in northern New Jersey. So hopefully you guys get out and enjoy that, and get to have a nice Monday after you listen, of course, to the Crew Cheese Corner podcast. But Kentucky, what a race weekend. I mean, I'll say the Xfinity race on Thursday and Friday were not the most exciting races. They were quite boring. There's a lot of follow the leader. And, we're going to talk about PJ1 and kind of what I feel about it. I'll be honest with you, I haven't really been a big fan of PJ1. It's worked at a couple places, but Kentucky's just one of those places it just hasn't worked at. And I don't know if it's because of the repave, because they kind of modified the turn and all that. They widened the groove there at Kentucky, kind of like what they did at Texas. And I felt like at least at Texas, I felt like it's made the racing a little bit better. I feel like what they did at Kentucky, it doesn't work. It's just not the same track that it was. And I'm not a big fan of the repave at Kentucky. I think the Kentucky repave, they kind of messed the track up. It's not as good as it was. It was definitely a much more raceable track when the series first got there about 10 years ago now. It's just not the same racetrack, if you ask me. But I think part of that is PJ1. Part of that is, like I said, the repave. It just kind of screwed the track up. It's not the same Kentucky Speedway. It's not the track that a lot of us thought it was. And I think it's a combo of things. I think it's PJ1. I think it's the aero package. Specifically, you could see the difference between the aero packages in the Xfinity cars and the aero package on the Cup cars. That exciting finish on the Cup cars was really great. But I do think the Xfinity series overall has put on some better races. I just think Kentucky, it was just the PJ1 messed them up. And, I just feel like it just wasn't as exciting of an Xfinity weekend as we've seen. We've seen some exciting Xfinity races. You've seen comers and goers in that series. And the Cup cars, usually it's been a little bit more, you get Kevin Harvick or Denny Hamlin out front, and it's kind of, sayonara, the race is over. But you're not seeing that a lot this time around. This time around, it's much more, Kentucky, there's like 9 or 10 different leaders. I was at work yesterday, so I didn't really see the whole race, but the clips I saw, obviously I saw the Brad Keselowski, Jimmy Johnson wreck, which is kind of ironic that Jimmy is mad at Brad, because I've been saying it for months. If Brad ends up in that car, I don't know what the repercussions of Jimmy wrecking Brad would be, other than it would kind of be funny. I think it would be two champions going at it. Um, and it was just, it was just a crazy race. That finish at the end. You knew that Truex and Truex even admitted after the race, because I was listening to the post race on the way home. I was listening to it on the radio, and Truex even admitted after the event that he did not have a car that he felt he could have finished much better than second with. So Truex admitting he was a second place car most of the race was quite interesting. And his contact there with Harvick and Blaney. I think Blaney hit like a drain cover or something, and that's what kind of sent him up the track. And he doored Harvick there, which meant Harvick had a tire rub, and Harvick was not able to win at Kentucky, which is one of now, I believe, two tracks that he hasn't won at. He had no win at Pocono. He crossed that off, and now he's just got, I think, the Roval and Kentucky now. That's it. That's all that's left on Harvick's list of tracks he's never won at. I know Pocono was on that list earlier in the season, and I want to say Darlington was too. Like before they came back, I want to say it was Darlington, Pocono, Kentucky, and the Roval. Those were the three races that he did not have or four tracks he didn't have victories on, but he's crossed two of them off his list as we've come back from the coronavirus and have been racing pretty much ever since. So very interesting to see what's going to happen there. But yeah, like I said, the Xfinity races, both of them were kind of boring. Austin Cindric had the car to beat both events. Briscoe gave it his best shot in both events, just a little bit short on the Thursday night race. That late race restart, he didn't quite get going as well as he should have. It kind of hurt him there. Got loose and just could never recover once once Cindric got out front, he just had him beat. So it was just one of those deals, and Cindric had the better car. And then Friday night, it was just, Cindric had the car from the very beginning, and it was, he had to work his way through the field with the top 15 invert. But I mean, within, 15, 20 laps of the green flag dropping on Friday night, you just knew Cindric was going to have the car to beat, and he just ran away with it. There was literally nothing anybody else could do, and it was all Austin Cindric on Friday night. And then there was an accident between Harrison Burton and Noah Gragson, and those two fought in the garage. And I guess it was on pit road or in the garage. I don't know where. I think it was pit road because I saw other drivers coming over and trying to split it up, because the crews aren't allowed to be on pit road when the drivers are leaving the cars. They have to stay away, or there's a limited amount of crew guys. I think it's only like 2 crew guys. So you don't have that massive, swarm of people in the fight. And I just thought it was very interesting. It wasn't one of those push and shove kind of fights. It was an actual legit fight. There's punches thrown and feelings that were hurt, obviously. And you're going to see what comes out of this, from a NASCAR perspective. Is there going to be something? Because, you have protocols in place right now. The drivers aren't supposed to be directly interacting with each other all the time. They're supposed to be trying to be social distance as much as they can. So what's the penalty for that? Will they fine them? Will they not? My gut says they're going to do nothing about this. They're just going to let this kind of slide. But you never know. NASCAR has always been kind of, one of those series, and it's one of those leagues. If you throw other sports in it, it's kind of always been unpredictable with its behavioral punishments. Sometimes they apply a punishment to one driver and it doesn't apply to another. You look at the pit road penalty that Justin Haley got. Justin Haley got sat for a couple laps because of contact he made with another race car driver. I mean, when was the last time they held a driver for multiple laps because of an accident on the racetrack? Yeah, there's other examples. I mean, they did it to Dale Earnhardt in the 80s, and Richard Childress never heard of that before. So, I mean, there's other incidences where they've done this, but it's not something they do all the time. A lot of times they just park a guy straight up. So very, very, very interesting I know I use that word a lot, very interesting, but just a weird ending to the race, when you get two guys fighting and, you're used to seeing the swarm of guys, piling in. There were some crews that started getting involved, but it wasn't like what it normally wasn't. And I think that this was one of those moments that you miss the fans the most, because that if the race fans are there, they see a fight on the jumbotrons, they see this action going on. There's usually a lot of cheering, there's a lot of screaming and hollering and things going on. So this was one of those moments you really miss the fans the most, and you sit there and you just kind of wonder, what if we had people on pit road? What if we had the crews there? All the crews there, all the crew guys. What would have happened? What would have this turned into? What was the melee gonna look like? So definitely missing the fans on that Friday evening, not having them there at the track, kind of took away from the fight, in my opinion, but it was still a fight. And, NASCAR officials got in pretty quick and broke up that whole thing there. And it's kind of funny, because if you go back to one of the first races we had was the Kyle Busch turning Chase Elliott situation. And, I was thinking about the Harrison Burton, Noah Gragson fight. And I was like, Chase showed a lot of poise back when they first got back racing. They kind of stood their distance. They're kind of finger pointing at each other, and they didn't fight. When everybody and their mother and brother felt like Chase Elliott wanted to punch Kyle Busch square in the face. And I can only imagine the crowd reaction if that happened with fans. Oh my gosh. Chase Elliott would have gotten cheered every track the rest of the year if that was actually a fight at Darlington instead of a finger point, thing. We all know that the shirts were made. There's hats made. He shot the bird at Kyle. So there's some good fun that was had with that. But I can only imagine what the reaction would have been for Chase had that been a fight. And then you flash forward to Noah Gragson, Harrison Burton, and you're sitting there and you're saying, now we had the fight that we were kind of hoping we didn't have back when we got to the second race in at Darlington. And you just look at it and you're just like, you're shaking your head. You're like, okay, now we have the fight. Now what's NASCAR's reaction going to be? Is there a fine? Is there a suspension? What's going to happen? So we'll see. We'll see what happens. I had to bring that up because I just thought it was kind of interesting correlation. Look at two guys that were trying not to fight, even though there was probably a lot of people that wanted to fight. The crew guys wanted to fight. They did, because they were sitting next to each other on pit road. They wanted to start something, but they were waiting for the drivers to start it, and then they were going to pile in, like they so often do. So just kind of an interesting point there, and something that you had to take a look at as we get past the Harrison Burton, Noah Gragson thing. But Noah's been in a lot of situations this year. I mean, Noah and Myatt Snyder. Noah had has had some choice words from Myatt. There's been a lot of blocking there. It's just been a very bizarre year for Gragson. He's got those 2 wins, but he's really pissed off a couple of drivers. And I think you look at that and you say, wow, this kid's got some swagger to him. And I think he always has been a little bit cocky. And there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, we were talking about it. I was kind of thinking about it with Cole Custer. I mean, you look at Cole Custer. I remember meeting Cole for the first time, back in 2015, probably a little bit earlier than that even. And Cole always struck me as someone that was kind of cool, calm, and collected. California kid, just kind of laid back, kind of went with the flow. Wasn't really one of those type A personalities, or at least that's not the appearance you got from Cole. And you look at Noah Gragson and you see the other end of the spectrum. Noah's very passionate. He is a firecracker. He is one of those guys that if someone does something wrong to him, he is going to go off on you. He's very vocal on the radio. He wants his cars to be perfect. And, when he wins, he gets emotional. You see he's really excited. He gets very pumped up. Cole Custer, you don't see that, and Cole's gotten better. I think Cole's, matured a lot. Obviously, infamously, I think, ironically, at Kentucky last year, he fell off his race car. Um, but Cole is definitely maturing, and he's a lot more open. He's opened up a lot. He's more mature in that regard than he was, when he first broke into the sport. 5-6 years ago. He's definitely a much different person now, in a good way though. He's definitely opened up more. He's definitely more sociable. He's definitely interacts a lot more with fans, and things like that. So you look at Cole and you kind of start to see some of the things and that gravitate fans to drivers. You see him, he's sociable, he's well liked. He's somebody that has commanded the respect of his fellow peers. And very nice to see Cole Custer get his first win. As somebody, like I said, that met Cole in his younger days, seeing Cole grow and mature kind of before your eyes, you could see that this kid was actually going to be something in the Cup Series. I don't think he's a guy that you're going to sit here in 15, 20 years and say, this guy won 8 championships. I don't think that's in the cards. But I think he's going to be somebody that you're going to look at and say, okay, he won, 10, 15, 20 races. He competed for a couple championships. He surprised everybody. I do think that that's what Cole Custer is. He's going to be a guy that's going to win multiple races. He's going to be a guy that's going to compete for a championship here or there. And he's going to be somebody you're going to have to race through in order to compete for some of these titles, because he's shown that he's competitive when he's given the right equipment, the right stuff, and they have everything going for him. He's gonna be somebody you're gonna have to race through. I mean, you look at the Xfinity Series last year. I mean, Tyler Reddick doesn't win that second championship unless Cole Custer screws up at Homestead Miami Speedway, on the racetrack, and he hits the wall too many times and all that. So Cole is definitely from where he was in the Truck Series, where a couple of people I think were kind of scratching their head at why this kid got to this level, besides the fact that his father is an executive over at Stewart Haas. There's a lot of people that look at Cole and say, I believe he's earned his seat. Last year, watching him race in the Xfinity Series, watching him race against Reddick, watching him race against Cindric and Christopher Bell, and knowing his equipment was good, but it wasn't Joe Gibbs caliper. And Reddick was in RCR equipment, which, RCR's Xfinity cars are usually really good, but it's not Joe Gibbs Racing. And when you could put, Cole Custer in a car that ironically was driven by Daniel Suarez, and Suarez didn't win at all in that car, and Cole Custer's the one to get the win in that 41 and to bring that 41 Haas car back to victory lane, something that only Kurt Busch was able to do. It says a lot about the young man behind the wheel of that 41 car from, I think it's Baker. I don't think he's from Bakersfield, California, but he's out there in California. And I do think the young man from California, the rookie, has a bright future ahead of him. I really do. And I think he's going to win multiple times in this series. And like I said, he's going to be one of those forces to be reckoned with as he matures, as he gets more race wins under his belt, as he gets more confidence with his team and with that program. I really believe that Cole's on the right track, and we'll see more wins out of this young man. And asked me earlier in the season which one of the rookies was going to win. I think the preseason favorite by far is Christopher Bell. I think everybody would agree that Christopher Bell is the driver at the beginning of the season that you're sitting there saying, Bobby, he's going to be the guy that's going to win a race this year. And I think as the season progressed, a lot of us kind of were shocked that John Hunter Nemechek was performing as well as he did. John Hunter's had some problems recently. He's gotten himself in a couple accidents. He hasn't been the same John Hunter Nemechek we saw earlier in the season. And even when we got back, he had that top 10 at Darlington and everybody was surprised. He's had good runs at other places that you don't expect rookies to run well at. He's kind of fallen off a little bit. Tyler Reddick, on the other hand, he's kind of shown himself a little bit. You saw Reddick at Homestead Miami. Had a great race. Finished third that night. So you've seen flashes out of Tyler Reddick. I think Reddick's going to be somebody that's going to win a race this year. But Christopher Bell's kind of the wild card now. Christopher Bell's the person that you're like, is Christopher Bell in in over his head this year. And what I mean by that is, is Cup actually right now just too much for him? Because he's had those struggles, he's had those moments, but then I look at the other side. If you're saying, you're playing devil's advocate, the other side of this is, well, he's driving for a team that, you know, they really don't have, this isn't like Furniture Row Racing. This isn't an abundance of resources. The guy that owns the team isn't loaded on the backside of things. Bob Levine has said that the reason why he's got this deal with Gibbs, the reason why Christopher Bell's driving the car was he needed help funding this program. And the only way you get that is by having a guy that's got a sponsor. Well, Christopher Bell walks in with Joe Gibbs Racing, right? And they bring sponsorship with Rheem. He's got some extra backing with Toyota. And he's got Coach Gibbs basically giving him race cars. He's using Jason Ratcliffe as Christopher's crew chief, and they're putting a program together. Now, I don't know all the ins and outs and the intricacies of this deal, but of everything I was being told, that these were brand new race cars they gave him. These were not the cars that Matt DiBenedetto was driving last year, which were 3-year-old cars that Eric Jones drove when he was at Furniture Row. These are brand new 2020 race cars that they purposely built for Christopher Bell, and they're struggling. So I think some of it is Bell, I think, as a rookie, is struggling, and I think that people, sometimes get turned off when they see a rookie struggle. They're like, oh, man, this guy isn't as good as he is. Let's give Christopher Bell the rest of this year. Let's give Tyler Reddick the rest of this year. Let's give, John Hunter Nemechek and those guys the rest of this year, and let's see what they really are. You can't judge any of these guys on one race. Cole Custer got a win. That's great. Does that mean Cole Custer is the greatest rookie this season? No. Cole Custer got hot. He ran very well at Indy. He's run very well here. Maybe he's on a little run. And then all of a sudden, maybe he falls off. And then we see John Hunter Nemechek come back. Or Tyler Reddick gets hot. Or, Christopher Bell gets hot. You don't know what's going to happen. But to sit here and say today, Cole Custer is the best rookie just because he won a race, easy. That's all I'm saying. But a good win for Cole. Happy for him. He adds his name to the list of guys that have won in all 3 series. He won in the trucks. He's won in Xfinity. And now he's won a cup race. So he adds his name to the list. He's probably something like the 30th guy, I think, to do that. So good for Cole. Happy for him, and happy for all his race fans that are out there cheering him on. And that was a good win for Cole Custer. So what we're going to do is we're going to take another little quick break. On the other side, we're going to talk about PJ1. Is it good for racing? I'll give you my take on that. I kind of teased you with that in the beginning. We will talk about the latest news and updates. I'll talk about something I found on the Texas entry list that just got released this morning. And we'll also talk about the thing everybody wants to talk about, the Tony Stewart Superstar Racing Experience. And you can catch all the latest news on that on our sister page, the Green Flag Racing Network. We'll be right back here on the Crew Chiefs Corner podcast, hosted by Bobby Bailey. That was good. That was a good little segment there. Got a little passion in there. Got a little bit of everything. So, so as this is uploading, and I'm gonna let it upload a little bit here because it's gonna take a while. Let me briefly tease. So Matthew, one of the guys in the Run What You Brung Uncensored Motorsports group that I'm a member of, wants to know who's driving the 7 at Texas. So let me go back here and look. Do. That's funny. Very interesting. So we're going to change the name of this to that there. Grab another transition. All right, we're back here on the podcast. This is Bobby Bailey, and let's get started with all the news and the notes that we have. So, Texas entry list is up, and I found something kind of interesting on the entry list. So, there is a number 90 car that was entered. It won't be able to run on Sunday because of there's too many entries. So NASCAR is limiting at 40 cars. So this number 90 car is supposedly owned by Vic Keller. I'm not sure who Vic Keller is. The crew chief is Tommy Baldwin, so keep that name in mind. And the sponsor is Axle. I think it's AXELE. So we've talked about Rick Ware. We've talked about this for months and months and months. So somehow I think this Vic Keller somehow tied in with Tommy Baldwin, Rick Ware, and all that. And they have a sponsor in Axle who wanted to be on a car, and they were going to enter the car at Texas. And it was going to be number 90. I guess it was a number that was available. And they were going to run this car. And now they're not going to be able to. So I don't know. I mean, you get credit for the attempt when you're excluded by points, which is the situation here. I don't know much more about the team. So I wish I could sit here and tell you guys, hey, it's this team, it's that team, it's, whatever it's supposed to be. No idea what this team is. But I saw this come up, and I had to post some info about it because people in certain groups actually like to see about it, and we'll go from there. But a very, very interesting, thing there on the entry list at Texas with the Bristol All-Star race coming up on Wednesday evening. So you guys will be able to catch that. We'll try to talk about our podcast that we're going to do maybe Friday evening. We'll try to do a podcast, or maybe, Thursday night after I get home from work or something. We'll try to do another podcast to go over the All-Star race at Bristol, which I think it's going to be an exciting race. First time they've done it on the short track in Bristol, Tennessee. I think the only other time they did the All-Star race at another track was Atlanta. That was a one-off deal, but it's been at Charlotte ever since. So, we'll see how that works out. I think it's going to be an exciting race. I think anytime you bring an event like that, like the All-Star, to the short track scene, it'll make it exciting. And I think Bristol's a good one to pick. We've had some pretty exciting races at Bristol the last several years. Yeah, I know it's not the Bristol of old. It's not the mid '90s Bristol that everybody loves and remembers fondly. It's not going to be the one that you're not going to see a Dale Earnhardt wrecking Terry Labonte situation or something like that possibly to win the race. You might see a lot of beating and banging coming to the start finish line. You might see guys trying slide jobs and things like that. So it'll make for an exciting event. I think it's going to be pretty cool. That we get it at Bristol this year, obviously due to coronavirus concerns, but nonetheless, it'll be something to watch. It'll be a spectacle. It'll be what NASCAR needs, I think, in a lot of ways, and hopefully it produces the exciting outcome that I'm building it up to be. So we shall see. We shall see how that all turns out for us. The other thing I know a lot of people want to talk about the Tony Stewart news. So this morning I woke up and I saw a tweet from Adam Stern and some other folks that work over at the Sports Business Journal, SBJ as they're known. Tony is going to start a series with Ray Abraham and a couple other folks. I know Sandy Montag is one of the guys. And there's another gentleman that used to be a COO of NASCAR. I think it's David Payne, if I'm not mistaken, or it's David Pine, as I'm remembering now. I think it's David Pine, that are starting what's called the Superstar Racing Experience. So what this series is going to be is it's going to be 12 drivers competing on a variety of tracks. So there will be a dirt component to this. Obviously, if Tony Stewart's involved, there's going to be a dirt racing going on. There's going to be so the cars are going to be able to run on both paved and dirt surfaces, and Ray Abraham's going to build the cars. So it's going to be very IROC style. It's going to be built exactly the same. Ray's going to run the series. Is in charge of building the cars, and it's going to air on CBS for 6 races. It's going to be on primetime TV. It didn't say CBS, like the CBS major network. I assume that's what they're going to do it on, or the CBS Sports Network. It didn't really clarify that in the press release, but it's going to be on CBS. I'm sure the replays are going to end up on CBS Sports Network just so that they can fill some time in there as well. But it's going to be 6 races, 12 drivers. They claim they're going to have people that you're going to recognize, whether they're active or retired, competing against each other. And like I said, 12 drivers, and they randomly get matched up with 12 crew chiefs. So we'll see how that all pans out. It sounds exciting on paper. We got to wait and see what it's going to be, on TV. So, I know Tony has done a lot in the dirt car world. He owns the I think the Arctic Cat sponsored All Star dirt racing series. He owns that. He has Eldora. So Tony's got a lot of vested interest outside of just Stewart Haas Racing. Obviously, he has his own dirt team that does World of Outlaws, and he does some midget races as well with them and stuff like that. So Tony competes all over on the dirt spectrum, usually just sprint car races now. He doesn't do a lot of the midget racing per se anymore, but they've done that in the past, and we'll see what Tony is able to bring to the table with this. I think it's, it has all the hallmark markings of being a very interesting event. It's got a major TV partner in CBS, and it sounds like CBS is deeply involved in this. They're going to actually help out with some of the finances, it sounds like, which is something that, we didn't see when the AAF came to CBS. That was something that they were just basically getting the licensing to broadcast the games, which they were being paid to broadcast anyhow. So that was kind of the interesting thing there. But, this is the whole nother series. We don't know if these are going to be like late models, or these going to be like the NASCAR, trucks. Are these going to be like NASCAR Xfinity cars? We have no idea what these things are going to be that Ray is going to build. You don't even know. I mean, it might be a some kind of a sprint car. We don't know what they're going to bring, but it'll be something to watch. I remember Tony Stewart said he wanted to hire Kyle Larson. Maybe this is something that they put Larson as. Could you imagine if this is what Larson goes to, and Larson does this, and this is one of the things that Larson does next year, is he runs this series amongst some other stuff, and this is like the thing that they try to prove that Kyle Larson's the greatest driver or something, out there. Could you imagine? and like Larson's like the house driver for this series. That would be neat. I literally just thought it. I was like, this might be what Larson ends up doing as part of his 2021 season. Him and Stewart, they figure out a way to get him in and sign him up, and maybe he's one of the first drivers they announce. I can only imagine the amount of fans that would flock to that, because there's a lot of Larson fans out there that just want to see Kyle racing, and he's out there tearing up on the dirt track and stuff like that. So it'll be interesting to see how that happens. The other thing I wanted to talk about was PJ1 and how it's impacted our sport. And in a lot of ways, it's primarily been negative. A lot of times, I understand that the whole premise behind the PJ1 was to promote multiple groove racing, and it's worked at some places. It worked at Bristol. It's worked at some tracks, but it just flat out doesn't work at places like Kentucky. We saw 2 very boring Xfinity races, and they tried reapplying the PJ1. They tried widening the amount of PJ1. It never worked out at Kentucky. And what I do believe NASCAR is trying here is they're trying to increase the grip level for the drivers. And I understand they're trying to do some things and make the racing better. They're trying to make it more exciting, make it, a better watch on TV. But it's one of those things that I think we're going to go back at this era that we have here and say, why? We're just going to say why, because I don't understand it either. And I hope it's something NASCAR is looking at and reviewing, and maybe they stop putting PJ1 down at some of these places. It's just, it doesn't add to the racing. I don't think the PJ1 at Pocono made Pocono more exciting. I think Pocono was exciting because there was a lot of strategy involved. It was a shorter race than we've seen there ever. And I think it added to that. But I think there's other ways that NASCAR can create excitement and drama. And hopefully they'll figure it out. I don't know what those answers are as a person that's a casual fan that covers the sport as a hobby. But I do think NASCAR is got to do something. They have to do something that's going to make the racing better. But NASCAR changes the rules package every 5 years, it seems like, or every couple of years. So we'll see. Hopefully, PJ1's not here to stay. Hopefully, it's something that they're trying now, just because they're kind of in the box between, now with the new car coming out a year later. They're going to try this PJ1 and see if that helps. Like I said, it worked at a couple places, but it's not worked everywhere it's been. And I think NASCAR's got to do something pretty soon to make a determination whether or not they're going to keep doing this. Because, like I said, I think it has hurt the on-track product a bit. When it's supposed to help it. So we'll see. But I'm not holding my breath on that at all. So we'll see how NASCAR handles that situation moving forward. But like I said, I'm not going to hold my breath that they're going to stop using PJ1 tomorrow. I don't think that's going to happen. So like I said, we have Bristol coming up on Wednesday night. We have the All-Star race. We have the Open. Then we have Texas this weekend. So you guys will be able to see the cars at Texas. I know there was a rumor going around yesterday. A couple people had posted that NASCAR is not going to run Texas, or possibly could not run Texas due to some coronavirus concerns within the state. Obviously, they're one of the states that are spiking currently with cases. So NASCAR supposedly is looking into the possibility of moving the race. There was a gentleman that is a crew member on one of the Cup teams that posted that the team owner told them that they've been contacted by NASCAR and said that they're going to come up with some kind of an answer on either today or tomorrow in regards to Texas. If they don't go to Texas, it will be Charlotte on the oval as the backup plan. And there's a potential that we might not be running. I think the other race that they were talking about was Daytona. They're on the fence about Daytona with the 2 races. Or no, I'm sorry. It was Texas and Kansas. It was Kansas was the other one they were looking at, because Kansas, even though Kansas, I want to say that track, was something was kind of up in the air anyhow earlier in the season, but they're watching the things out there in Kansas and Missouri, kind of watching what's going on there with the with the cases in both states, again, on the rise. They're possibly looking at moving that race. But I don't know the other track they would move that to. I would say, you go from Kansas, they would have to run it at something, that's owned by NASCAR. So we'll see what they end up with. But like I said, we should hear some kind of official word if they are indeed moving the races from Texas and Kansas within the next few days. But it sounds like Charlotte is the backup plan for Texas, and then again, Kansas. It's not known what the backup plan for that would be. It possibly could be a race, somewhere else. I heard Martinsville as a possibility, just because Martinsville they could go there and run without fans, and they won't have a problem. I don't know of any other tracks that ISE owns that is going to be a slam dunk to run in. It's not like they own a track nearby this area. I mean, they do. They own Watkins Glen, but they can't because of the way the governor is with the majority of the teams based in North Carolina. And North Carolina is one of the states that you can't travel to without quarantining for 14 days from. So we'll see. So that's going to do it for the podcast. Thanks, guys, so much for tuning in. As always, be sure to follow us on all the socials that follow us after this. If you guys want to find out more information about the Tony Stewart Series, the Superstar racing experience, you guys can check all that info out on the sister page of Crew Chiefs Corner. That's on the Green Flag Racing Network. Search us on Facebook. It's literally facebook.com/Green Flag Racing Network. And then we're also on Instagram with that same account. It's Green Flag Racing Network. And it's on Twitter. It's Green Flag Racing. It's RACIN with the number 1. That's the Twitter handle. And you can catch all the news and stuff on there. If Tony announces anything that we haven't already covered in the press release on the Green Flag Racing Network, I'll share that back out. The press release I'll share on the Crew Chiefs Corner page because I know a lot of people don't follow Green Flag Racing Network just because it's a newer page, and we cover Formula One on there, IndyCar, NHRA, World of Outlaws, all kinds of stuff on there. But the NASCAR side of things, a lot of people don't know that the other side exists. So check that stuff out. We'll catch you guys later in the week. Hopefully, like I said, maybe Thursday, Friday, we'll have a podcast going over the All-Star race, and we'll preview Texas for you guys. So until then, be safe, be well. Hopefully everybody gets out and enjoys the nice weather, especially up here in the Northeast. It's been beautiful the last 2 days, and we'll catch you guys later in the week. All right, so that's that. And that'll do it for the live recording of the podcast. Hopefully you guys have enjoyed it. I know I did. It was a good time to get on and record the podcast. Go out there, enjoy your Monday. We'll catch you guys later in the week. Like I said, Thursday or Friday, just stay tuned to the Facebook page. We'll have everything posted on there when we're going to go live. And thank you guys so much for tuning in on the YouTube and the Twitch side of things. We'll catch you guys later in the week.